If you've ever felt that frustration, you're doing the eat less, move more thing, and it's just not working, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into why that old advice is really only half the story when it comes to managing our health and our weight.
I mean, so many of us have followed the rules, right? We cut calories, we hit the gym, but for some reason, the results just don't stick. So it begs the question, why is this so incredibly hard?
Well, the answer, according to the source material for today's explainer, is pretty simple. It's because our focus has been way too narrow. It's like we've been trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. We've been obsessing over diet and exercise, and it's time to see the whole picture. Okay, so let's get into this new framework. It's called the 4 Pillars of Health, and it really gives us that full, complete picture we've been missing. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to break down this really holistic approach that's built on 4 interconnected pillars. We'll look at how to eat smarter, not just less, how to win the mental game when it comes to movement. Then we'll dive into the hidden drivers, stress and sleep. And finally, how to develop that unbeatable mindset that really ties it all together. And here they are: diet, exercise, mental stress, and sleep. Now look, diet and exercise, they're the obvious ones. We all know them. But the real insight here, the thing that changes everything, is that stress and sleep are the true game changers. They are the decisive factors that most of us just completely ignore. So let's kick things off with that first pillar, diet. And listen, the key here isn't about starving yourself for endless restriction. It's about being strategic, being smart with what you eat and how you eat it. And the source gives us 2 incredibly simple, but really powerful hacks that can make a huge difference without you having to, completely upend your life. Let's check them out. Hack number 1, drop the sports drinks. Seriously. They are so often loaded with glucose, fructose, liquid sugar, which is basically a sugar bomb that can completely cancel out all the benefits of that workout you just crushed. The author of our source material actually tried this, just swapped them for water and lost 2 kilograms from that one change alone. Okay, hack number 2 is all about your timing. It's called the glycemic index eating order. So you start your meal with low GI foods. Think veggies or soup. Then you move on to your protein, like fish or meat. And you finish with the high GI carbs, like rice or bread. By doing this, you dramatically slow down that spike in your blood sugar, which puts way less strain on your body and helps you avoid those energy crashes that make you want to raid the pantry later. All right, now that we've got some smart eating strategies down, let's talk about pillar number 2, exercise. And you know what? The biggest battle here is often fought right between our ears. So many people start exercising and then just quit. And why is that? Well, it's so easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to that super fit person at the gym or on social media. It's just so discouraging. The real key, the secret to sticking with it, is to only compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. Just focus on those small personal wins, and you'll feel that pressure just melt away. I love this. The author shares this really personal story about playing tennis for 30 years and, in his own words, still being at the very bottom of the tennis world. And that just perfectly illustrates the point. You don't have to be some elite athlete. The goal is just to move your body and find some joy in it, whatever your skill level is. And look, you don't need to master some complicated sport. The simple stuff, the really accessible activities like walking, jogging, or just some basic strength training, they are incredibly effective. These are things anyone can do, no matter what you think about your so-called athletic genes. Okay, let's move on to the 2 pillars that our source calls the most decisive of them all, the ones we so often forget about: stress and sleep. When we are under a ton of stress, our brain basically starts screaming for a quick hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical, just to cope. And what's the fastest way to get that hit? You guessed it, food. This is actually a concept in Japanese called yakegi, or stress eating. And the authors saw this pattern over and over again with overworked friends and colleagues. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this slide shows just how powerfully connected our last 2 pillars are. It's a total domino effect. It starts with a lack of sleep. That immediately jacks up your mental stress. That stress then triggers the urge to comfort eat, which, you guessed it, leads directly to weight gain. It is a powerful, vicious cycle. So the crucial thing is we have to break that cycle, and we have to break it at the source. The author's advice here is so simple, so direct. If you have time to scroll on your phone late at night, you have time to go to bed. Making sleep a priority is one of the most powerful things you can do for your weight and your stress. So we understand the 4 pillars now, but how do we actually manage all this stuff? let's look at the tools that really put you in the driver's seat of your own health.
The source recommends a really simple but powerful habit. Weigh yourself every single day and track it. He calls this the recording diet. And look, this isn't about judging yourself. It's about awareness. It gives you data. So when you see the number go up a bit, you can just look back at your day and ask, what was my diet like? Did I move my body? How were my stress levels? Did I sleep well? It's all about connecting the dots. You know, a really common roadblock for people is feeling like, oh, it's just my genetics. And yeah, sure, genetics can play a role, but the core idea here is that our genes have a kind of switch, and it's our daily choices across all 4 of these pillars that decide whether that switch gets flipped on or off. You have way more control than you think.
Realizing we have that control is the perfect way to get into our final section, which is all about the mindset. This is the glue that holds this entire framework together and makes it actually work.
It really comes down to this: never, ever give up. The author has seen so many people make amazing progress, and then they hit that inevitable plateau where things stall out. They get discouraged and they just throw in the towel. But plateaus are a totally normal part of the process. The key is just to stay consistent, even when it feels hard. Consistency is everything.
Ultimately, what we're talking about here is a huge shift in perspective. The goal isn't to find some magic pill or a quick fix. The real win, the true victory, is in understanding and managing your own personal system, your 4 pillars, to create health that actually lasts. So the big takeaway here is that it's just not about calories and workouts. It's a 4-part system: diet, exercise, stress, and sleep. And with that in mind, the final question I want to leave you with is this. When you look at your own life right now, which one of your 4 pillars needs a little more of your attention?